Hello, what is up everyone, it is Truth Reviews here. I hope you guys have had a fantastic day, a fantastic week, a fantastic whatever. I hope you've had a fantastic time, guys. Just before I get into this video, quick disclaimer, I would love if you would subscribe. Subscribing really boosts the channel. Once we hit 1k subscribers, our channel should grow a lot rapidly, which is very good. Your support in this video means a lot to me. Like, comment, share. Thank you guys ever so much for watching. Let's get straight into the video. Guys, I have done it. I have single-handedly come up with the best solution to Fallout's problems. You may be wondering, Truth, what is this solution? What is this fix to Fallout 4? What are you going to do? Have you fixed the railroad and that god-awful faction?
No.
Have you fixed the dialogue trees? And are you going to expand on your idea of the Gunners as a faction? Well, my loyal subscriber, no, I've done none of these things. However, I have come up with probably the single stupidest idea for a 6th faction in Fallout 4 ever. And this faction would be, not the Gunners, I've just covered those, but the Super Mutants. Yeah, massive disclaimer before you watch this video, I know this is a completely stupid concept and just I know you'd be breaking and like bending Fallout 4's internal mechanics to have this work as a 6th faction. Just bear with me, okay? I thought the idea was cool. It would add some new gameplay and charm to it, and I'd just like to hear your thoughts on this idea. And come on, guys, give me some crazy ideas for factions. Just go nuts out there. I had someone in the comments of the last video on the Gunners talking about the Mirelurks as a faction. They spoke about the Mirelurks or something like that. So just go nuts in the comments, guys. Let's get some real, some insane factions. So yeah. One of my main critiques to Fallout 4 was that you can never really play as the bad guy. I mean, sure, you can play as different factions with different ideas, and some of them may be objectively bad in your opinion, but you can never play as that bad guy. And that's why I created the Gunners as this morally grey sort of payrolled faction, which is more of a bad focus faction. But what if we took that a step further? What if we introduced the Super Mutants as a faction and had a real spin on them? In my opinion, the Super Mutants are one of the most underutilized thing in Fallout. I mean, I was going to say Fallout 4, but just in Fallout as a general. I mean, Fallout 1, I believe, has them as the main villain, and after that, correct me if I'm wrong, but after that, they're pretty much all the time just used as another enemy you can shoot. And while I understand Fallout needs a wide variety of enemies that you can shoot, and they shoot back and don't ask questions, I found it extremely interesting in Fallout 1 with the fact that these Super Mutants weren't just big dumb idiots. They were evolved humans with their own thoughts, feelings and motives. And outside certain Super Mutants, especially in Fallout 4, the only one you can speak to is Virgil and Strong, other than them, there's no real connection or dialogue trees you can have with the Super Mutant factions. But what if we changed that? What if we made it so that the Super Mutants were a full-fledged faction? So, how I would start my Super Mutant narrative is by having a very well-known Super Mutant base. Now, there's already a Super Mutant base off the coast of the Brotherhood, which would be the main base for the Super Mutant faction. But before that, I would have a somewhat well-known, like a Super Mutant farm. You can find Super Mutant like farms and outposts in Fallout 4. I would have a very well-known one that everyone tells you, stay away now, stay away from now, just don't go near it. Now, I would have these Super Mutants tell you to stay away, don't come in, you don't want to come in here. And I would have them talk to you. Now, instead of them just opening fire on you, if you passed a couple speech checks, they would allow you to do a mission for them. This mission would be stealing people. Now, I know that makes me sound like Heath Ledger's Joker, but trust me, it makes sense.
And he says, why so serious?
Super Mutants are very known for taking people, eating them, doing whatever they want with them pretty much. So I would have you be their flesh, be their human taker. You would go into a settlement, get real nicey-nicey with them, lead out some young settlers, and the super mutants would take them. This would already put on an extremely dark sense of this faction, really blending in this dark and cold atmosphere for the mutants. Could you imagine their main theme as well? Oh, I don't know what it would sound like, but I'm sure it would sound good. You'll end up doing some more quests as well with morally grey backgrounds, like taking down some targets from the Minutemen or Brotherhood, other factions like that. Perhaps they want you to go and steal supplies from settlements. Stuff like this too, I think they would have you do. Once you do these quests with these two mutants outside their main camp, you would get introduced to the leader, and he would say you're not welcome in the ranks because of one thing. You're not a mutant. Now, we know that the super mutants are in Boston because of, obviously, the Institute and their scientists messing around with the HPV virus and producing more super mutants. At least I think that's why. Once again, that's a bit shady in my Fallout lore there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that is what it is, I believe. I think, anyway. So to join the super mutants, you would have to go under some serious surgery or whatever, a transformation into a mutant. Now that sounds badass, right? I mean, you'd be transferred. Now, how this would work, I'm not really sure, because the HPV virus there's still traces of it left in Virgil's lab, but I feel like that would be too endgamey to do a faction. So, I would have the main leader of the super mutants have a small dose of the HPV virus that he could inject into you, or, transform you into a mutant. Once this is done, you're welcomed among the ranks. Now, to do this, though, you'd have to travel to Virgil, and he would highly tell you not to do this, but you would do it. Once you do this, you begin the mainline super mutant faction. Now, the super mutants' main enemy would be the Brotherhood and the Institute. The Brotherhood, because obviously, well, the whole we hate abominables, we hate all, these people, stuff like that. We hate anyone that's not human, ghouls, super mutants, Mirelurks, you get my point. Robots, synths, wow, they really do hate a lot of people. The first thing you would do is do setups to take down the Brotherhood, and because their base is directly next to yours, you'd have no choice but to do a mainline assault. But here's where the smartness would come in. The super mutants aren't dumb, and I keep seeing them portrayed as dumb and just idiots, and it's not true. In the first game, they were incredibly smart. So I would have you go underground, go under the Brotherhood base of some sort. Now, I do things differently this time. You would bring down the Pridwin first. The Pridwin would come down. You'd set some sort of charges and set some sort of charges under the ground, something like this, that makes the building next to the Pridwin collapse and it falls down. You would then have to engage all the troops and it'd be a massive cluster fight. I would have this fight be somewhat melee, if I'm honest. Have a melee battle with the mutants, with the Brotherhood as the mutants, because I feel like this would be just more troglodytic and quite fun. Now that the Brotherhood are dealt with, the super mutants would straight away switch their eyes to probably the railroad. I mean, you could just crush them out. Once again, nothing special here. You just go down with a bunch of super mutants and just kill them all. I mean, you could probably do something cool with their technology. As the Pridwin's blown up into ashes, the railroad's probably still got some tech to salvage, so you could have your scientists work on that. Now, here's where it'd get interesting. I would have you go and retrieve Virgil and force him to work for the mutants. Yes, force Virgil to work for the mutants. Now, here's where I'm going to go off track. Now, instead of having it now play out as the boring Fallout where you go after the Institute, I'm going to mix it with my last video. Please check out my last video if you haven't seen it. It's on the Gunners. My last Fallout video, that is, why the Gunners should be the 5th faction in Fallout 4. Now, I'm going to mix it with that universe. Now, in that universe, it's the Gunners and the Minutemen have had a massive change. Preston has his own army, and the Gunners have sort of built up their force. Now, I would have you then turn your eyes straight to the Gunners, because they're pretty much like the Brotherhood. They don't like any abominations, stuff like that. So you go for the Gunners, but the Minutemen would get involved trying to stop you attacking the Gunners, so that would force you to divert to the Minutemen. You'd have a mainline assault on the castle. I feel like this would be just pretty standard, just a main assault, kill Preston, lol, major L for him, mate. Then you'd go back for the Gunners and kill a lot of them, and then finally you'd have an assault on the Institute. And I would have this quest be long. I'd have these other ones be a bit fast-paced, just this happens, this one, because Super Mutants work like that, you know, they work pretty fast when it comes to their methods of fighting. But this Institute, I'd want them to take it personally. They're the ones that brought this into the world, and now they're about to take the Institute out. So I'd have the Super Mutants slowly surrounding the CIT building, and then making it into their own settlement, until finally they begin to dig under the ground, by hand. I would have them digging. Literally by hand. Or they'd do the same entrance as the Minutemen. I feel like that would work for them, because, you know, the whole radiation doesn't really affect them. So yeah, that's what I'd have them do. Once they enter the Institute, it would be a mess of fighting, explosions everywhere. They would enter from the top down, I feel. Stop all this, like, every faction enters from the exact same spot. You start off in the teleporting room, you travel through. Stop that. In this one, we're going to smash straight through the top of the base and, like, land in a bedroom or something like that, just to make it a bit more different. And we're going to have it happen from all angles. And instead of blowing up the Institute base straight away, the mutants need to get the HPV vaccine. They need to get the rest of it. So they'd go and they'd have Virgil make more and more of it, and mass manufacturing would begin. Now, they would blow up the Institute. However, they would have previously made a base, a scientific base above it. This is why they were building up their forces, to, like, build a HPV like sites to vaccinate more people. So you take hostages, a lot of Institute scientists, and then you'd slowly, one by one, you'd end the game by like a cinematic, just like the first Fallout, where, you know, you kill your full. If you get the dark ending, you pretty much turn your people into super mutants. I'd have that sort of ending play out. So yeah, I know there are about 1,000 plot holes in everything I just said, and I know it is so far-fetched it's unbelievable, but I just thought it was a very fun thing to play around with, and I thought it was quite a good idea from when I started. Quite like a super mutant faction. I mean, we haven't had one for ages. Now, the mutants after the whole, you know, taking down all the main factions, their goal would just be vaccination. So I'd have a main assault on Diamond City, a main assault on Good Neighbor, and then that would end the game with you setting up vaccination sites with HPV. Or infesting water with HPV, you know, just really messing up some people's lives, you know, stuff like that. I'd have some fun companions come out of this. I feel like you can have some really fun super mutants. Now, Strong, you'd have to go kill Strong, I'm afraid. He rebelled. Kill Strong, get him over with. But I feel like you can have some very fun companions, and stuff like that could work quite well. Once again, finding your whole son thing. Don't know how this linked. Maybe they would promise you to keep your son alive, stuff like that. I don't know. They'd help you find him somehow. Building the teleporter with them. I feel like that could work with Virgil. If you had Virgil with you, you could force him to build the teleporter with you. Or you could just do it yourself, I suppose. You got the smarts. I mean, that's what you do with the Minutemen. You sort of just do it yourself. I mean, Sturgis helps a little bit, but that's pretty much what you do yourself. Overall, I think this would be a fun addition to the game, just a 6th faction now. We've got 6 factions in Fallout 4 now, and I feel like this would just spice up the game and have a really dark and just evil, completely, if you want to go completely batshit insane, do this ending. It's the evilest one. I mean, other than the Railroad, of course, because the Railroad are just degenerates. They're just scum. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please comment. Comment down below what you would like to see next, what you thought of this ridiculous idea of the super mutants. Subscribe, like, let's face it, you liked the video if you made it this far, so you might as well subscribe. Thank you guys ever so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Stay safe, guys. Peace.